to 7 for FC Dallas and 3 on target. All the data is going to point to the Houston Dynamo, but it's going to end in a 1-1 draw. Final third entries, 67 Houston, FC Dallas 39, 61% of the possession. It's really the same old story. It's just don't have finishers. And sadly, you know, when you're trying to win this game 1-0, and you've heard me talk about this a lot this year, your margins for making mistakes and errors cannot be absorbed if you're only up 1-0. And I was really hoping the Dynamo could get a second in the second half. I don't know if our audio's working.
I got it working.
All right, we're getting it worked out. Thank you, Edson, our good friend Edson. But, yeah, I mean, if you can't get multi-goal games, and, you know, you can't absorb making mistakes. Same thing happened when Austin won that game 1-0 the night here, that this kid Fadri from Austin FC2 cut across Hector Herrera and flicked in Rigoni. It's the same thing. These are nights you dominate everything, but you don't take what you deserve. There just is not a finisher here. Edson says Coco needs to see the bench. I'm tired of always trying to be cute when in transition outside our own box. Well, it was a very loose play. Ruben says. Russian says barely here. We're working on everything here, Justin, our producer. So, yeah, it's, you know, really it's repeat and rinse. I mean, wash and repeat again. It's very frustrating. I think it's very frustrating for the coach and his staff. And it's hard to get in front of the media now and say, hey, we dominated all these areas of the game, but we got a point. And honestly, Dynamo record at home now is 2-2-3. They got a better road record.
Audio should be good.
And I think our audio's better.
Yes.
So let's get your thoughts in here. YouTube Soccer Matters. It's our post-game show here. And again, a reminder, we'd love for you to subscribe on this. We'll continue to read anything you have to say. If you look at the game tonight, I think it was pretty dominant. I think FC Dallas did have an eye on the Wednesday game in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup against Tampa. I think you have to also factor this in, and this is a big deal when you look at this 1-1 result. They are missing a ton of guys. Yarramende was out, okay, who's played close to 300 games in Spain, right? The other midfielder out was Frazier, who's represented Canada. That's before you talk about out for the year, Paxton Pomacall, Alan Velasco. Leggett is coming back. Areola still out. So, you know, if you factor that in, you got to go from saying this is a bad result. I don't think there's any question. It's a bad result when you factor all those things in. Granted, the Dynamo, it's the third game in 8 days. I'll give them that. But, you know, you dominate all the facets of the game except for the one that's the most important in soccer, and that's scoring goals. So we'll see what the Dynamo do. Are they going to find a striker? Is Sebas Ferreira going to get healthy? Are we going to depend on goals by committee? I'm not a big fan of goals by committee.
Hey,
so
you got lucky
we'll see.
last year with goals by committee. It's not sustainable.
Yeah, I think that's a good word. It's not sustainable. I don't think you can have a season like last year again. I've said this repeatedly as well, and I don't want to sound like Debbie Downer here, but I don't think that's going to work. Vincent says, can Houston add a designated player in the summer transfer? Yeah, sure. I think they can. I think they can. There's a variety of ways I think they can do that. Coco decided non-standard pass to make between two. Yeah, that was a very loose play. Listen, the Dynamo have been a little bit sloppy at times in their own third of the field. I don't think that's the time at that point of the game to be making that. Although, you know, when you play with a lot of tricks and flicks and you encourage that, those things are going to happen. But that was not the moment for it. Technicolor says, one moment creativity, what we need, then just listless nothing. I agree. We dodged the bullet. I don't know where that went. Agree. We dodged the bullet with Frisco being depleted. Well, I don't know. I mean, I think it's a missed opportunity with FC Dallas being depleted. I don't know about dodging a bullet. That's missed opportunity in my book. I don't know what you think, Technicolor, but that's what I think. Let's get your comments. Let's keep them coming. For me, Eric Sviatchenko is one of the men of the match.
I was going to say he was my man of the match. The 2 runs he made locking down.
In transition,
Yeah.
quick, speedy players. I mean, look at Musa, who scores for them. Musa and Jesus Ferreira had a total of 4 shots on the night and 1 goal. And they took Musa out, and he had just hit the near post and almost got a second. And they were thinking about the Wednesday Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup match. That's the striker they spent $9.7 million for. Now, I guarantee if he was playing for the Houston Dynamo, that guy's going to get 10 to 14 goals for the Houston Dynamo with his play around the box. It's frustrating. I think it's very frustrating because it's not about the collective nature of the team. It's not about the collective defending. It's not about the good possession game. You might say it's a little bit about chance creation, but it's about finishing, and it's pretty simple.
Technicolor says he agrees with you. I meant it as how absolutely crushed would we be if a full Frisco team would have played.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to tell, but it's very frustrating, I think, for everybody. Keep the calls coming in. What else you got on your mind, Justin, from this game tonight? Well, we got to mention Steve Clark sadly went off.
Yes.
Obviously was, from our vantage point, he was bleeding profusely from his nose. Took the knee of Artur right square in the nose on the Musa goal. And the Musa goal, he was picked out inside the box, kind of a similar type of goal where it's a first-time finish. That Amin Bassi got. It's good Bassi got his first. That was a good goal. Hector held it up, top of the box. He got an overlapping run from Steris. And Bassi holds his run up so he can create an angle and a window that Daniel Steris can play the ball through, and he picks him out, and it's a first-time finish. But outside of that, well, you guys tell me out there. Do you think the Dynamo created clear chances tonight? You had a hit from outside. You had a number of hits from outside, a couple from Artur, one from Coco. So Technicolor says, yeah, they can get a DP. You can buy down Sviatchenko with TAM per Bayou City Soccer. Well, I mean, there's a lot of speculating you can do, and there's a lot of things that can be done. The question is, what do you think will be done? You could also move Coco Carrasquilla and transfer him. Would you do that? I don't know.
I think with his.
I think at some point you got to give him his move to Europe.
I do think with his play of late, and I kind of agree with Edson. He hasn't been up to the standard that we're used to seeing Coco play with. Last year. I think your return on investment is going to go down, or what you're going to get back for him, your asking price. So do you still move him? Possibly in the summer?
All depends on the price. I mean, like you said. I think Technicolor brings up a good point. So the Dynamo had 8 on target, but you'd have to say 50% of those were outside of the box that he's mentioning. For the most part, hit right at pass. That's correct. Coco's forced a bit of a save out of him that made him move a little bit to his right and pick that out with his right hand. I think that's bread and butter for him. But at the end of the day, you're right. These are 22 yards out, 25 yards out. It's got to be something special to beat Pass. I think Hector had one from out there too. So 50% of the shots came from outside of the box. So, if we're thinking really clear chances here tonight, they're minimal. They really are. Now, you can say, well, we got into the final third a lot. That's right, for sure. Vincent says, frustrating couple of games. I think the team will get into the playoffs, make a good run. Thanks for the post game. That happened last year. It is a playoff team. I think you're in every game because of the way you defend and the way you keep the ball. That's pretty obvious. Herrera, 4 shots, 1 on target, 90 touches, 5 in the box, 9 final third entries. I'm just spitting out a lot of stuff here to make you think I'm smart, but you know how we are now in MLS. We're going to a lot of data right now. Yeah. He was visibly upset coming off the field. I don't think he walked by Ben Olsen. He looked like he was upset, but but you would expect that from him. We've seen that before because he wants to play. But he went 82 minutes tonight. That's the longest stint Herrera has done, and he also did another 70, and then off the bench in Austin. So, he's 80, 70. That's 150. He did about 160 minutes, 70 minutes this week. It's a lot in 8 days for a guy coming off a knee injury, and if it's Major League Soccer, so you don't have to be in any rush. That said, he wants to be on the field. He wants to try to win you the game. Anything else, guys? What else do you point out there? We'll go deeper on the radio show this week. I hope you guys tune in Monday and Wednesday, 6 Central Time. ESPN975.com is where it streams. As far as the next game, it's the LA Galaxy. Kowalczyk's going to miss that for picking up a yellow. You sit here and you just say, after the momentum of last year, how do you keep momentum going? And for me, it was you bring in a high-end striker because you recaptured momentum. You said that was the goal. You did a great job of that last year. But now you got to sustain it. And Austin FC did the same thing. After that miraculous year with Driussi, looked like an MVP candidate, just like Hector Herrera last year, right? Just like Hector Herrera last year. And, to me, more had to be done. From the obvious pink elephant in the room is a obvious goal scorer. And that then tells your fan base, hey, we're trying to win an MLS Cup. And that's, look what LAFC did. They want to win an MLS Cup this year. They went and got Olivier Giroud, and they got Olivier Giroud for the now. Mm-hmm. You can tell me that this is Matt Jordan's fault. You can go back. I'm not buying it. You got to be able to find a goal scorer. And I think you work too hard. You've done too many good things in building this team to not find that player that can win you games and take you what you deserve out of these matches, instead of spitting a lot of stats out after every game that look very similar, but end up being losses or draws and games you should have won.
Kenneth did bring up a good point. They bet the house on Sebas, and they got a bad hand so far. Or they're playing a bad hand, I should say.
Now you can take a loss on them. You can do that. I mean, it's not the end of the world. It is. Something occurred there. He was a 13-goal scorer on a bad team.
Yeah.
Something occurred. He did not fit Ben Olsen's system. He did not lead. Maybe he wasn't fit enough. Maybe it's a combination, probably, of everything. Don't want to second-guess anybody, but, scoring goals is the name of the game. By the way, if you are saying we want a full stadium, for me the word is earn. We want to earn your loyalty and have a full stadium. But when you want a full stadium, scoring goals and being an attacking team and scoring goals from a competitive standpoint is one of the ways you draw people to your games. Easier said than done right now with this team because they're not goal scorers. We're asking Amin Bassi to be a goal scorer. We're asking Coco. We're asking Kowalczyk. They are not known for this in their career, so it's unfair to them.
Let's see. Vincent did ask, currently, who do you think the most popular team in Texas is? And I'd say Austin.
From attendance, it's Austin FC.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's how you go. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I would have said the best team on the field was the Dynamo. The best team player development-wise is FC Dallas, although that's changed in a different way. But I'll tell you what, the kid that came on today, it was Nolan Norris. He was only 19. It was his first start for Dallas. And I'll tell you what, he's in that locker room tonight, part of a very big road draw. And he is a guy that now the coach is very confident in playing because I thought he played well. Was very good with the ball, useful with the ball, didn't give it away. And when you're placing a guy like Yaramendi and Frazier, that's a pretty good night for you with Delgado and him. I mean, they did a good job.
let's see. We got a couple here. Edson, exactly, Glenn. You have to build upon the foundation that was set out last season.
Yeah, enough with the Matt Jordan stuff. Come on, guys.
Well, no, he's proven.
That's weak. No, I know Edson's agreeing with me. Enough of going back there.
Yeah.
I mean, please. Come on, that's the blame game. That's the blame game. This wasn't a referee tonight. This is simply about scoring goals.
Yep.
And, it's the same thing. Guys, you're going to hear Ben say this, and he's not going to be wrong. Look at the data. Look at the effort we put in. That's always there. But, effort can fray when you don't get your just desserts, and it can become a mental thing. So we have to watch that as well. And, again, clear chances, not many. A lot of shots from outside the box.
Yeah, but you've got to figure out a way to reap, the fruits of your labor. Yeah, you're getting in the box. You're taking shots. You're just not scoring. Getting in the box doesn't win you games. Goals do.
Yeah, I like what Technicolor says. He talks about the refereeing. The refereeing tonight was excellent.
Yeah, I think
Torrey Penso did a great job. It's a fine night of refereeing. No complaints there from anybody. So there you go. And, here's Brooklyn Reigns, who was highly touted. And this is another part of it because you're so content on making the playoffs here, you're not able to blood some of these younger guys. Brooklyn Reigns was, everybody was talking him up about getting real minutes here. The Dynamo had to go out and get, Jefferson Valverde from LDU Quito, I think he's Peruvian or Ecuadorian, sorry. And, you would have thought that would be Brooklyn Reigns. Obviously, they don't think he's developing enough. He's also not getting a lot of opportunity with the first team. So, these are things that are very interesting. And, only time will tell. But, I think the Dynamo are going to just go with the way they're going right now until they get to the transfer window, and then we'll see what they do. And I'm not sure what they will do. I'll try to get Pat Onstad on the show. He's always open, so we'll look to get him on maybe this week, and we can get a little bit more of an idea on his plans.
Let's see. Yeah, Brooklyn Reigns, I've noticed it a little bit when he did come on early in the season. He doesn't, I guess you could say, drip with confidence, unlike me.
Who's that?
Reigns. But confidence is going to come with more
minutes.
Well,
he's a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still
young.
a kid, but I mean, he's working at a Dynamo too. But my impression is when they got him, that at this stage he was going to be getting legit minutes, and Pat Onstad wanted to get him a lot of minutes early. Their focus last year, with all due respect to them, was we got to get in the playoffs. But that's the problem with the history of the academy and player development. It's really set you back. I mean, the fact that we've produced very little here that are first-team players in Houston is mind-boggling. And I don't mean that as an affront to anybody, but if you don't agree with me on that one, you're not paying attention. And, I tell it like it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. But if you think of all that from the standpoint of putting a roster together, salary cap relief, not being able to produce your own over all these years, really, really missed big missed opportunity. Big.
So I'm going to try to be like Technicolor and be a glass half full guy. And you bring it up often on your show. 62% of your teams make the playoffs. So, yeah, we're a mid-table team now. You can get into the playoffs. Hope you catch a hot streak going to the playoffs. But do you always want to be a mid-table team? I don't.
Well, I think that's what we said last year.
Yeah.
We don't want to make the playoffs at 8 or 9.
No.
We ended up 4th. It's a great season. Got to the Western Conference Final. But we want to see the Dynamo perennially be in the top of the West and ultimately one day fighting to win the West in the Supporters' Shield. I mean, you got to think big here. I mean, and I don't not think that the Dynamo competitive side is thinking like that, but tough. Listen, we're just kind of blabbering on here about the same thing. It's a very similar game to what we've seen all year long. I know it's frustrating to everybody. Don't want to go over other results here tonight. I think we're gonna cut it short. I want to thank everybody for coming in here. Here's one more from Technical. We're not going to sync with how they play. We actually can play the game. Our guys aren't terrible. We just can't score. Yeah, well, I think we've been saying that for a couple weeks now. I think you're right. I hope some of you guys call into the show and take me through the show this week, 6 Central Time. By the way, I'm giving Copa America tickets away. I'm giving Messi tickets with Inter Miami. Yeah, that's a bit of a slap in the face that Inter Miami and Messi comes in here to play Tigres, right, in your hometown. But look, it shows you what type of a market we have, and it shows you the power of the draw of Messi, but it also shows you the power of the Club Tigres here in Houston, because Rayados and Tigres have all kinds of fans. Technicolor, thank you. Rushan, thank you. Edson, thank you. That's going to do it tonight. I hope you guys join me on the Monday and Wednesday show, because I love your feedback. I'd love for you guys to do it during the week on live radio. It would make things a lot fun for me. All right. Have a great rest of the weekend, everybody. Thank you.